Hey everybody, Dwayne here with Project Dragonfly. Those of you who are familiar with my work know I love doing interior design work. And sometimes that means getting your hands dirty and doing the practical stuff. So I thought I'd give you, I'll just show you this real quick. So what I'm doing today is I'm painting a room. In particular, I'm painting a door, indoors. But we painted the walls here yesterday. This is a Sherwin-Williams color that I really like called Silver Plate. And I really like the Behr Premium Plus Ultra paint that has the primer in one with a matte finish. And I'm not paid to say this, but I really like it because it's washable. You'll still get a good enamel coating, and yet you'll get a good flat finish. But anyway, so today I'm painting a door, and I thought I'd shoot a little video here about helpful tips on door prep and how to paint a door and have it turn out well. The first thing I like to do is I like to take a scraper over the door, usually something like this, 4-inch putty knife. And if you zoom in close here, you can see this door was painted before, and you can see this little area right in here. I call them spoot neuters. You know, it's just some piece of something that's either from a roller cover or a little fuzzy or something that's gotten in the paint. And so I like to take a 4-inch knife that's good and sharp and just kind of scrape that stuff off. The next thing I like to do is I'll take a sanding pad like this. These are about I believe they're about 220 grit. And what this does is this is semi-gloss paint that's on here. I'll try and get a good shot here of the paint itself, but it has a very glossy finish. And generally on doors like this, you'll paint either a semi-gloss or an eggshell. But by going over the surface with a sanding pad, it helps to remove some of that gloss, but also, more importantly, what it does is it's going to create better adhesion for the paint that's going on the door. The next thing I like to do is once I've sanded all the panels and the cross sections, is I'll go over it with a dust brush, especially these areas right on the top and also at the base of the panel right in here. And what that does is just gets the dust off of those areas, and it's going to allow better paint adhesion. Okay, next thing we'll talk about is tape. You can see I've taped the hinges at the bottom and also the door, just the handle. I like to just tape those things off, and you want to make sure that the tape is nice and tight to this plating, whatever the plating is. You want to make sure it's nice and tight, and that it's not going up onto the door surface. You want to be tight down against the metal. So once I've done that, the next key part to painting a door is your brush. This is a 2.5-inch brush. You can see it's cut, it's curved, or not curved, but angled. And I like to take it, dip it into water, only about, I'm holding a camera and my brush, but right about to this point where my little finger is. Dip it into the water 2 to 3 times, make sure all the bristles are good and loose and that the water has penetrated into those bristles. And then take a cloth, wipe it out, wipe it out, wipe it out, make sure you get all the water out. And what that's going to do is it's going to make cleanup a lot easier because your bristles are now wet. And when they start absorbing the paint, it's not going to stick to the inside of the bristles, to the inner workings of the bristles. So the next thing that I want to share with you guys is a key to painting is control, right? So not only how do I control the paint, but what's the process that I use to get control of the paint? And so here again, I'm going to use, on this door, I'm going to use the Behr Premium Plus Ultra. This is a stock white color, and this is an eggshell finish. The Behr products tend to have a lot of gloss in their mix, in their paint. So I don't necessarily need to use a semi-gloss. I can use an eggshell and get a good sheen. But, okay, so now we come to the point where we're going to put paint on our brush. When I'm going to paint a door, I want control. anytime I cut in, I want control. So you can see I put very little paint on this brush, but that's all I need. And then I've wiped it against the container. And I like to wipe at one place on your gallon container. Reason being is it's about cleanup and it's about neatness. The neater you are and the more precise you are in your prep of everything, the brushes, everything, your job is going to be so much neater. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start applying paint. And to do that, I'm going to start with these areas right in here. These are just the panel indentations. And you could use a smaller brush on this as well. You don't have to use a 2.5 inch brush. I just prefer to buy a 2.5 inch brush because it's very versatile. They're good cut-in brushes. And again, I'm going back here a couple of times just to make sure I get the coverage that I'm looking for. I want to work it into all these little details and cracks, and especially on your first coat, you really need to be precise on your first coat. And this is the first time I've shot a video like this, so I'm not sure how this is going to turn out, but hopefully it'll be helpful to somebody out there. Okay, so what I'm doing now is just trying to really work the paint out of the cracks and out of these corners. You don't want any buildup, especially with an eggshell or a semi-gloss paint, because they typically run. And now what I'm doing is just going back, and since I painted against the grain, I want my brush strokes to be in line with the grain. So that's a start. And there you might be able to see a little bit of the color variation. And you can see there's no buildup in this area right here, which will always run. These corners tend to always run if there's buildup. So there's no buildup in those areas. It's a good thorough coverage, and now I'm ready to move on. So that's generally how I start. I start with the panels, these interior panels of the door. And I'll do this is a 6-panel door, so I'll go around to all 6 of the panels. This guy here, and I'll cut all of that in. Then I'll go to the hinges, and I'll cut these in. And this is another secret. Again, since it's all about control, you can see where I put the paint on. I put it on away from the area that I want to cut in against. And what I'm doing is I'm taking it off of the brush. Then I'll come back and I'll cut in nice and tight right along that area. Now I go back, and this extra paint that's on the door, I just spread it out nice and evenly. And so now my hinge is cut in. The next thing I'll do is I'll do all 3 of the hinges, and I'll do the handle. I'll go around the handle. Again, you can see where the paint is on the brush. It's very close to the end of the brush, and I don't want it to be any further up the brush, again, because it's all about control. It's all about the amount of control you have over the material and the amount of material you're using in a certain area. So that's how to cut in. The next thing I like to do, once the cutting in is done, I like using a 4-inch foam roller, and I'll roll the rest of these surfaces. All the flat surfaces, I'll roll. And it generally takes about 45 minutes to do a door. Now, somewhere between 30 and 45 minutes to do a door. And there, as you can see, the drop cloth, and it's tucked underneath. So. All right, well, there you have it. Hopefully that was helpful. And check out projectdragonfly.net and Project Dragonfly on Facebook, where you're probably going to find this video. And hope to be launching a new website here soon. So thanks for checking us out today.